What's going on, everybody? Today my wife got me this $10 Vise. It's an old Parker, it says right here, number 32. So made in USA. Good deal. I think that's a good deal. You know, I don't know why Vises are so expensive because they're pretty simple. But the thing is, there's a crack in it right here. You can see in this spot, there's a crack that runs all the way through. So this vise works just fine the way it is. It goes in and out. It moves in and out. But this is cast iron right here. And so I'll show you with the sparks once we take this apart. And so you can grind on it and look at the sparks. So instead of welding this, we're going to braze it. Follow along. So this piece right here just pulls right off. And that holds everything together. So that's where it says Parker. And then, let's see, this thing comes out like this. This looks pretty good. It's not cracked. It's not broken. It's not bent. This slides right out. And then we got the inside right here. So I imagine that sometimes these could be bent. Could be a problem with these. But on the inside, everything else upon closer inspection looks pretty good here. So I think that this just must have been out this far, or someone twerking on it too hard and just caused this part to crack, pulling on these wings right here, causing it to crack, and it goes all the way through. So you can see the crack. So let's first test this steel. Well, I'm just beveling this out because that's going to make a better weld, a better joint. So cleaning this out, and you can see the sparks, they go real quick and then they're real small. So that type of spark is a lot different, which indicates that it is cast iron. So just a piece of steel is going to look a lot different. So we know this one's cast iron. I'm going to bevel this out a little bit more, feather this out, try and round this out just slightly because you don't want sharp angles. Going almost down to the bottom. And I'm going to try and extend it out a little bit, just down into here too, so the crack just doesn't keep going. I put a smaller disc on to fit in here a little bit easier. So we have our torch. We're going to use a torch for this. You can get something hot enough with some MAP gas. You want to heat it up to red hot. Your metal right here. So you want a good flux. A good flux is important. And so you start heating up your metal. You don't want to crack cast iron any more than it is. So cast iron doesn't like to stretch very much. That's why it just mainly cracks. So if you can get into a good position, this might take just a little bit. So basically I'm brazing it because with cast iron, it's a really strong glue. You need special welding rods for cast iron. It makes things a lot more difficult, and you should even preheat the metal for cast iron too. And so this is expanding a little bit, and you can see the crack there. So it might be a good idea just to clamp this down So if we clamp that down to keep it from spreading, another reason I'm doing it is because my dad told me to. And so if this doesn't work, I can just blame it on him and it's not my fault. Just kidding, Dad. But my dad is and was a pro welder, so he kind of knows what he's talking about. You want to be careful about heating the metal up too much past red, and so I keep pulling the torch away. It starts to sputter a bit if it's getting too hot, and then in an extreme case on thin stuff, if it's too hot, you'll just melt right through the metal. So you just want to keep moving that heat back and forth just to keep it at the right temperature. Flux is important. Having clean metal is just as important as flux. Having flux helps it to adhere. Up the heat up a little bit. It's cooling down pretty fast. It's not quite enough heat. You just have to be more careful when you're using a bigger tip like this. You can't hold the heat on there as long. So I put it in some ashes right away, and that'll help to keep it from cooling off too fast and cracking. Now it's been overnight in the ashes, so we'll let it cool down there, see how it looks. See if we got any more cracks. Not seen anything yet. Let's put the wire wheel to it. It's looking good. It's hard to get the braze to flow in there just right. You gotta have your heat settings, or you could just be better at it. But I'm gonna grind this off and then make it look a lot better. Use a file in these different spots to fine tune it, and then we'll see if we need to do anything more after that. So we're pretty good, but not perfect. So just to try and make it a little bit better, I'm going to fill these little spots in with some more brass down in here, up in here, that end, and then a little bit down here. Get it in the ashes, let it cool slow. Okay, so it's cooled back off right now. It looks just a little bit better than before, but it's gonna work well. Got another layer on. Let's just grind this down. Didn't I do this before? Let's see if it fits. Did it warp too much? Maybe. It's a little wider back here. We got 2 and just over a quarter. And 2 and we're under a quarter. So 2 and 3/16. We are wider out here on the outside of these wings. We're looking straight up and down it. A little bit. Yeah, that's pretty good. So we're looking pretty straight up and down it. So it looks like I just need to grind off some of these. I don't want to try and put this in the vise and bend this in. This will just crack it. There's a good chance that it'll crack it. So I can take a little bit down on both sides. Good on the sides. It looks like we just might need to take some off either on the bottom here or on the top. Looks like this side warped a little bit. There's a little bit of flux that came down this way, so I can take a little bit off here, and I think we should be getting close. Nice. Woo! Yeah. There's a little tight spot right at the end. And it looks like it's at this crack right here. Right at this spot. Nice. That's good. Tad more fine tuning. It's a good idea to use your file and then slightly round off these sharp edges here that you made. That'll just help keep everything stronger. If it's a sharp 90-degree angle, it gives it a spot for it to crack easier than if it's rounded. I don't know. Maybe I should keep it original, maybe not. But I'm gonna sand this down a little bit, at least on the inside, just polish it up, and then I'll heat it up slightly and put some linseed oil on it, and that'll darken it up. It makes things look really good. You know, as I'm sitting here just grinding my life away, I might just leave it how it is. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Get on there. That sure was nice of a woman to get a guy a Vise. Straight to a man's heart. Get him a Vise. Well, that's the two differences there. Shiny. shine up some of this number 32. I wonder, should I keep some of this old paint that's been on here from years from people's benches? I don't know, let me know. But when you're using this thing, hold this thing like a man, because this thing can get away from you and get caught on something and then fly out. So be careful of these catching on an edge. Yes, I know there should be a guard on this thing, but pretend it's not there. Now that my hands are numb from the vibrations of this angle grinder, we gotta clean up the other parts too. We have this Parker right here. The Parker symbol goes on the front. That looks good. We got the innards, the gizzards that are in there. Plus we got this thing. Let's polish this up. Try not to scuff this up and mar it up. Don't want it flying out on me though. Well, I think I'm gonna try it. I think I'm gonna try the linseed oil. You know, I got a fresh can. The last one lasted me at least 5 years. Maybe I wasn't using it enough. I don't know. Don't use your going to town gloves though. Get some nice old gloves because you're gonna be touching the linseed oil and it's hot. Oh, these are stiff. Smells like leather and linseed oil. Open up your linseed oil. Either get a MAP gas, torch, get something that'll breed up to 400 degrees. Put it in the oven if you want. Or, ooh, what's my pressure? Oh yeah. Now, a guy didn't have to go through all this trouble to, you know, make it all shiny and nice, but I just never had anything so nice in my life. So I heat this up slow. Heat it up, test it. Put some linseed oil on your rag, rub it on there. Just expand the pores of the metal. And that's again about 400 degrees. Or if it just smokes a little bit, just lightly, if you get it too hot, you get into the 450, 500 range, you're going to be getting up to maybe around bluing it. You don't want to be ruining the temper. But this is cast iron, so we're okay. The other thing that I love about doing this is that it's a nice natural rust protector. You can see it smoking a little bit. That's just right. It turns it darker every shade, every layer that you put on makes it a darker shade. Or use some tongs to hold this. Once these are cooling off, use your rag that's soaked. Put the linseed oil on other wooden handles you have. Put on your nice blacksmithing hammer. This other random hammers you have. Ooh, maybe this file handle. That'll help keep the wood from drying out. Once you're done, lay your rag out nice and flat to dry out. Don't crumple it up and put it in the garbage, because that will create heat and could possibly spontaneous combust. I know, sounds ridiculous, but it can happen. There's a warning right on the jug. And one time we also put it in a can, all crumpled up, took it out, and it was starting to get hot. The vise has cooled off. Let's put it back together. This goes on the inside. So this part can screw in and out. So that goes right on the inside here. Just gravity fed, held in there. In through the hole. So it goes both ways. Put the jaw in. Holding it tight. That's good. Everything's looking good. We're not cracking. This is a nice vise. I could take a file and file some grooves in deeper here. There's some cross hatches. Just for some added grip that has worn out over the years, I could bolt on auxiliary jaws, like what's on this vise right here, just to get more grip, but maybe that's not what I want to do. Maybe I want to keep it smooth for putting wood in there if I'm making bows, or who knows? Who knows? So I'm going to think about it for a little bit more. You can see these auxiliary jaws right here that can be changed out in this vise. So this is a handy vise as well. All in all, great vise. A vise is always a good thing to have. This thing's ready to be bolted down on the table and used. We'll see you on the next one. Woo! A vise and a vise.